was certainly pleased to see the federal government's decisive action to impose a moratorium on the federal fuel tax until at least Labor Day, and I'll certainly be joining calls, including the Canadian Taxpayers Federation here locally in Alberta, to urge Premier Danielle Smith to do the same. In the most recent 2026 budget, the provincial government implemented what is the largest property tax hike in Calgary's history, about a $350 increase on each household or single-family homeowner. And if the provincial government were to hit pause on the collection of the provincial fuel tax, I understand that the benefit would be about $300 per household. So I'm certainly applauding the Prime Minister for stepping up on affordability for Canadians, and going to be urging Premier Smith to do the same for Albertans.
Can I go first on playgrounds? There's a report going to IBC tomorrow about what could happen if significant investment doesn't come from when it comes to playgrounds over the next 10 years. Should the city be putting in that $90 million annually to make sure that 960 playgrounds don't close over the next decade?
Yeah, so it's important for Calgarians to know what's at stake. The vast majority of playgrounds will no longer be here unless this council takes action here and now to address this. So the vast majority of playgrounds will not be around within 10 years if we do not invest here and now. And it's always a lagging indicator. There's fits and starts when it comes to capital projects, and playgrounds are no exception. I certainly support the ask to double down on having these community amenities maintained, but we need to be also a bit smarter in terms of the kinds of playgrounds that we build. We need to make sure that they're more multi-purpose, that they're usable year-round, that they're accessible. So for me, it's not just the number of playgrounds. Certainly I want to be able to maintain a good level of service for Calgarians so that every single corner of the city has access to these playgrounds. But for me, I'll be going into the debate with council colleagues with more of an eye for quality. We need to make sure that we keep an eye on accessibility, and how we build the playgrounds and how we renew them will actually determine some of the long-term operating costs. So if we can build them a bit smarter than the way that we did in the previous decades, we can lower the operating costs and the maintenance costs on a go-forward basis and make the playgrounds more usable year-round. So this is an existential threat to Calgary's playgrounds, and unless we spend the money here and now, the vast majority of playgrounds will be left in such a state of disrepair that they will have to be removed from community neighborhoods, and nobody wants to see that happen.
Is there not a smarter way to fund playgrounds, or is it a different way to do it rather than through taxes, property taxes, city budgets?
Well, there's relatively few levers that the city has access to in terms of funding sources. It's not like the provincial government is stepping up in a big way for infrastructure money. So when it comes to various grants that are even available at the federal level, it's for the big ticket items. It's the hundreds of millions of dollars of projects, even the billion-dollar projects. Whereas right now in many Calgary communities, it's left to local teacher and parent councils to have to fundraise for. And I want to recognize the philanthropy of local community businesses. Local Calgarians have stepped up in a big way to be able to fundraise, but it shouldn't be on the backs of community residents to fundraise alone. So the community should be supported by the city, and we should be working more in tune with the local context to understand how the playground can be better used and better maintained on a go-forward basis. Right now, we know that we're playing catch-up. We have decades worth of playgrounds that were only built with a single purpose in mind. They weren't easily able to be reconfigured, say, for large events or for festivals or for other types of year-round and accessible programming. So for me, it's very much a quality conversation and not just a quantity one. But yes, it is central to why we have a city in the first place, why we have City Hall in the first place, is community amenities like the local playgrounds.
Mayor, why should the city wade into the debate over the transition from AISH to ADAP at the provincial level?
Well, some people may be asking why City Hall should be weighing into provincial issues, but right now we have a provincial government that has made poverty reduction a municipal issue. They've continued to download responsibility for things like the low-income transit pass and other measures to municipal government. So it used to be that municipal government was separate from the provincial government when it came to issues like housing and poverty reduction. But the provincial government has made this our issue. They have said clearly around mental health and addictions and recovery, that this is a joint responsibility. They want us weighing into things like the Shell and Schumer, on issues around poverty reduction, around assistance to our most vulnerable, supports like that. The province has made this our issue. They want us to weigh in. So I really applaud Councillor Schmidt's leadership in bringing this to the table. I understand that it's going to be supported by a broad consensus of our council mates, because if it impacts Calgarians, it impacts us at the City Council table. So it's not just advocating for a halt to the misguided changes that they're looking to implement for AISH. It's not just a call for greater consultation in terms of future changes, but it's also a recognition that if changes are made there will be trickle-down impacts to our municipal services, particularly around recreation and other social supports. So there will be an impact not just to Calgarians. If this change, as flawed as it is, were to proceed, there will be impacts to us corporately in terms of our city's budget line. So it used to be that we could have different conversations on different issues at different levels of government, but the province has demanded and insisted that the municipalities weigh in on these issues. And look, we need to recognize that as well, that Calgary is relatively late to the table when it comes to this advocacy. You have many, many resolutions from across the province that have been adopted unanimously by city councils, and this is time for Calgary to step up and support our most vulnerable Albertans.
Sorry to jump around on another motion from Councillor Clark. What are your thoughts on this agents of change policy that he's proposing? Are there any concerns that could actually hinder development around or redevelopment around some of these arts and culture music venues?
Well, I'm really thrilled to see this work come forward from Councillor Clark. It's all about continuity. It's recognizing our arts and cultural and creative industries as a backbone of Calgary's economy. We need to invest in this essential infrastructure and support this infrastructure, just like any water main, just like roads or transportation infrastructure, because there's a tremendous return on investment. And similar to heritage preservation, if we don't act here and now to take the needed steps to protect and promote and preserve these assets, we stand the risk of losing them. So this work by Councillor Clark is all about avoiding that problem in the first place, working more closely with community so that as development occurs, it's actually to complement community amenities, things like the Ship and Anchor, things like local stages and community amenities. So again, relatively low cost way for us to be able to really enshrine and protect Calgary's status as one of the hippest places to be in terms of the arts, cultural, and creative sectors.
Mayor, the Drop-In Centre is facing calls to decentralize or even leave East Village. Just your thoughts on that? Should the Drop-In Centre change where it offers some or all of its services?
Well, I certainly support the Drop-In Centre being able to continue their operations in the downtown, because if you were to close them entirely, that problem will not go away. I think that there's a bit of a misguided but misperception around social disorder. The assumption is that the presence of community supports, nonprofit organizations, is the cause of social disorder and crime. No, those facilities are there to be able to respond to a need that exists in the community. So I think that that's the first thing that we need to emphasize, is that if you were to close that overnight without any type of transition or alternative, it just makes so much of the problems that the community is facing even worse. But what I will say is that the quantity of individuals served is far in excess of what the local capacity is. So we know that there is an ultra concentration there where it's not serving the community well, and it's not serving our most vulnerable Calgarians well. There's a great piece just today in the CBC that really talked about what the experience was for the most vulnerable Calgarians who rely on those services. So again, it's not just about the community, but it's also centering our most vulnerable Calgarians in that. So we know that the service delivery is not working. A decentralized model does, because it allows for the quality of interactions for those individuals served, rather than just warehousing people without really seeing an end in sight, not necessarily seeing the connections that we need to around addictions, recovery, treatment, counseling, mental health, housing. So this is all about solving the problem in the first place and getting ahead of it. The current ultra concentration of the services at the DI hasn't been able to get us ahead of this issue. It's clear it's not working, so certainly support the province in exploring other options. It can't just be about blowing up the DI and not having any kind of replacement. We need to be thoughtful, we need to have a transition in place, and there needs to be a net gain in terms of, say, counseling support available, a net gain in terms of housing that's available, in terms of recovery treatment and beds available. So again, it can't just be blowing up the DI, there needs to be a plan around it. But if we have a plan and we go into it with clear eyes and with collaboration with the provincial government and our not-for-profit sector, I think that this could be a good thing. But again, we need to again center it. It's not the DI causing these problems. They are there to respond to a need. And if the DI went away tomorrow, the problem would be even worse. So let's be thoughtful about how we do it rather than make a knee-jerk decision that could exacerbate the existing issues that Calgary's downtown is facing. Sincere congratulations to Prime Minister Mark Carney for securing a majority government. Very much been pleased with my previous interactions with him as Calgary's mayor. Obviously there's a lot of work to be done to continue to advocate for the needs of municipalities from coast to coast to coast.